Welcome to Globewise Entertainment, where the spotlight never fades and the stories run deeper than the silver screen. Today, we're diving into the dark side of the Golden Age, the bold stars who challenged Hollywood's powerful machine and paid the ultimate price. These were the rule breakers, the rebels, the legends who said no when everyone else said yes. If you haven't subscribed to Globewise Entertainment yet, hit that button now and join us on a journey through film history like you've never seen before. Let's get into it. 1. Bette Davis. The woman who took on Warner Brothers and risked it all. In the 1930s, Bette Davis was already a rising star, but she wasn't content being just another pretty face on the studio assembly line. Under contract with Warner Brothers, she was handed uninspiring roles, often in forgettable films, while male counterparts got all the complex characters. So, what did she do? She did the unthinkable. Bette packed her bags, sailed to England, and refused to act in any more mediocre junk. Warner Brothers sued her for breach of contract. She lost the case. She paid dearly, financially, and in her reputation. But what she gained was something far more powerful: respect. Her defiance forced the industry to take her seriously. She returned to Hollywood and eventually got the roles she deserved, becoming the first woman to win 2 Best Actress Oscars. Bette Davis didn't just act, she fought for the right to act well. She was bold, she was fearless, and she cracked the foundation of the studio system for the generations that followed. 2. Marlon Brando. The godfather of rebellion. Marlon Brando wasn't just a movie star, he was a one-man revolution in a tuxedo. In an era when actors were expected to smile, nod, and do what they were told, Brando did the opposite. He brought raw, unpredictable energy to the screen, redefining masculinity and acting itself. From A Streetcar Named Desire to On the Waterfront, Brando's performances felt real, almost too real for the polished world of 1950s Hollywood. He rejected the plastic glamour, clashed with directors, and famously turned down roles that didn't challenge him artistically. The studios hated it. He was difficult, unpredictable, expensive. Then came The Godfather, a film no one wanted him for. Brando had become box office poison. But he fought for the role of Don Vito Corleone, even auditioning with a now iconic tape. The result? One of the greatest performances in cinema history. And yet, even after winning the Oscar, he refused it. Brando sent a Native American activist, Sachin Littlefeather, in his place to protest Hollywood's portrayal of indigenous people. That night, he made history, but Hollywood never fully forgave him. He was branded as arrogant, exiled from major roles, and labeled a troublemaker. Marlon Brando challenged the system, spoke truth to power, and paid the price. But he also changed the rules of acting forever. 3. Katharine Hepburn. The woman who wore pants in a world that wanted dresses. In an era where Hollywood expected women to be soft-spoken, glamorous, and obedient, Katharine Hepburn did the unthinkable: she wore trousers. On set. Off set. Everywhere. Studio heads were horrified. One producer even had her slacks stolen from her dressing room in a desperate attempt to force her into a skirt. She didn't flinch. She walked around in her underwear until they gave them back. Hepburn refused to play the Hollywood it girl. She declined public appearances, dodged gossip columnists, and rejected roles that didn't challenge her. Her fierce independence and unconventional beauty led to the media labeling her box office poison in 1938, one of the harshest labels an actor could get. But Katharine didn't bend. She didn't beg. Instead, she bought out her contract, found the script for the Philadelphia story, and turned her poison into pure gold. The film revived her career and redefined what it meant to be a leading lady. She didn't play by Hollywood's rules, and for a time, she paid the price. But in the end, she rewrote the rulebook and walked away with 4 Academy Awards, the most of any actress in history. 4. James Dean. The rebel who never conformed. In a Hollywood obsessed with clean-cut heroes and polished charm, James Dean showed up as the storm no one expected. With just 3 major films, East of Eden, Rebel Without a Cause, and Giant, Dean shattered the mold. He refused to be the traditional leading man. He was intense, moody, and methodical, more interested in the truth of the character than fame or fortune. Studios tried to tame him, but Dean resisted. He dressed how he wanted, spoke how he felt, and didn't care about playing the Hollywood game. While others schmoozed at parties, Dean drove motorcycles through the hills and read philosophy. He wasn't just a rebel on screen, he was one in life. But being different came with a cost. Hollywood didn't know what to do with someone they couldn't control. Executives feared his volatility, directors couldn't predict him, and tabloids branded him as troubled. And then, just as his star was rising, it ended. On September 30, 1955, James Dean died in a car crash at just 24 years old. His legend, however, was only beginning. In death, he became the eternal rebel, forever young, forever defiant, forever iconic. He didn't live long enough to fully break the system, but he cracked it wide open. 5. Orson Welles. The rebel who changed Hollywood, and paid the price. Orson Welles was a man ahead of his time, a visionary who challenged the very foundation of Hollywood. Born in 1915, Welles was a child prodigy, conquering radio and theater before making his way to Hollywood. But it wasn't long before he found himself at odds with the studio system. In 1941, at just 25 years old, Welles created what many consider the greatest film of all time, Citizen Kane. With its innovative use of deep focus, nonlinear storytelling, and groundbreaking cinematography, the film revolutionized cinema. But Welles' daring vision didn't sit well with the powers that be. The film's studio, RKO, was hesitant and unwilling to give him full creative control. Welles fought tooth and nail for his artistic freedom, often clashing with producers and executives who tried to take the reins. Despite the pushback, Citizen Kane was released, but it came at a high cost. The film's mixed reception and its portrayal of a powerful media mogul, a character clearly based on real-life tycoon William Randolph Hearst, led to the film being blacklisted by many. Hollywood, stung by Welles' defiance, retaliated. The studios blacklisted him, limiting his opportunities and forcing him to work in a system that didn't want to let him create freely. His career was marked by a constant struggle to get films made on his terms, as he was often forced to take on low-budget projects just to keep working. Despite facing personal and professional setbacks, Welles remained a true artist, refusing to compromise his vision. His defiance against the industry's rules cost him fame, fortune, and opportunities, but it also secured his place in cinematic history as one of the greatest filmmakers of all time. In the end, Orson Welles' greatest rebellion was his unyielding dedication to creativity over conformity, a price he paid, but one that forever changed the world of cinema. 6. Rita Hayworth. The star who challenged Hollywood's rules, and paid the price. Rita Hayworth was one of the biggest stars of Hollywood's golden age, known for her stunning beauty and captivating dance moves. But beneath the glitz and glamour, Hayworth was more than just a pretty face. She was a woman who constantly fought against Hollywood's strict rules. In the 1940s, Rita was one of the studio system's most profitable stars. But what the public didn't know was that she hated the image the studios had crafted for her. Hayworth was groomed to be the ultimate sex symbol, her fiery red hair and sultry gaze becoming her trademark. However, she resented the fact that her talent was overshadowed by her pin-up persona. The constant pressure to maintain her physical image took its toll on her, as the studio manipulated her personal life for profit. Her rebellious streak emerged when she tried to take control of her own career. Hayworth wanted to break free from the roles she was typecast in and show her versatility as an actress. But the studios weren't having it. They demanded she remain the sultry starlet, putting her in roles that fit their vision, not hers. Perhaps one of her most significant rebellions came when she began to speak out about the sacrifices she made for fame. In private, she often spoke about how she endured painful transformations to fit Hollywood's beauty standards. Her high-profile marriage to Prince Ali Khan and the resulting media attention further strained her relationship with the studio, as her personal life became fodder for gossip columns. Rita Hayworth's attempts to escape her studio-imposed image had consequences. She faced backlash, and her later years were marked by a series of personal struggles, including battles with alcoholism and her eventual diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease. Despite the cost, Hayworth's legacy as a trailblazer remains. She pushed back against the machine that sought to control her, and in doing so, carved out a space for actresses who came after her to be more than just their on-screen personas. Rita Hayworth's story is a reminder of the price of fame, and the courage it took for her to break free from Hollywood's suffocating grip. 7. Montgomery Clift. Montgomery Clift, one of Hollywood's most gifted and enigmatic stars, was a man ahead of his time. Known for his sensitivity and introspective performances, he defied the typical mold of leading men in the 1940s. Clift rejected the polished, perfect image that studios wanted to create for him, instead choosing to play complex, flawed characters with emotional depth. Clift's rebellion against Hollywood's rules was more than just professional, it was personal. Unlike other actors who played the game of fame, he resisted the pressures to conform to studio-driven personas. His preference for raw, method-style acting made him stand out but also put him at odds with studio heads who sought to control their stars' every move. Clift's greatest act of defiance came when he refused to let the studios dictate his life, pushing back on roles that he found shallow or limiting. But it came at a cost. In 1956, after a horrific car accident that left him permanently scarred, Clift's career began to unravel. The trauma from the accident and the intense media scrutiny took a toll on him mentally and emotionally. His studio, unwilling to protect his fragile image, turned their back on him. Clift's refusal to fit into the cookie-cutter mold of Hollywood's leading men cost him the adoration and roles he once had. Despite this, he remained an icon for those who sought authenticity in an industry built on illusion. Clift's courage to live and perform on his own terms, even when the price was high, left an enduring legacy of vulnerability, passion, and a quiet rebellion against the system. 8. Ingrid Bergman. The rebel who defied Hollywood and paid the price. Ingrid Bergman was one of the brightest stars of Hollywood's golden age, known for her natural beauty, impeccable acting talent, and undeniable presence on the screen. But behind her iconic roles in films like Casablanca and Notorious, Ingrid was more than just a glamorous leading lady, she was a true rebel. In 1949, at the height of her fame, Ingrid made a bold choice that would change her career forever. She fell in love with Italian director Roberto Rossellini, and the two began an affair, which was considered scandalous by Hollywood standards. At the time, she was married to Swedish physician Peter Lindstrom, and her public romance with Rossellini sparked outrage. The moral outrage was intense. Ingrid was publicly shunned by the American press and her fans. Her reputation was tarnished, and she faced public criticism for daring to live her life on her own terms. But Ingrid didn't back down. She chose to leave Hollywood and move to Italy, working with Rossellini on films that were unconventional and groundbreaking, such as Stromboli, 1950. Her decision to prioritize love and artistic freedom over her Hollywood career was unheard of at the time. The backlash was swift and brutal. Ingrid was labeled a homewrecker, and, for several years, Hollywood studios refused to cast her. She was even labeled a traitor by the press. Despite the fallout, Ingrid's career didn't end. In fact, she went on to achieve a major comeback, winning an Academy Award for Anastasia in 1956 and continuing to shine in both American and European cinema. Her boldness in defying the norms of Hollywood ultimately set her apart as a pioneer for personal freedom and creative expression in the film industry. Ingrid Bergman's story is a testament to the power of choosing one's own path, no matter the cost. She refused to be controlled by the industry's expectations and paid the price, but in the end, her courage only cemented her status as one of Hollywood's most respected and enduring legends. 9. Humphrey Bogart. The rebel who defied Hollywood's rules. Humphrey Bogart wasn't your typical Hollywood leading man. Known for his gritty persona and hard-edged charm, Bogart was a man of principle, even if it meant challenging the very system that made him a star. In the 1940s, when the Red Scare gripped Hollywood and the studios wielded immense power, Bogart found himself at odds with the industry's demands. He wasn't just an actor, he was a fighter for the rights of his fellow artists. In 1947, he took a stand against the House Un-American Activities Committee, WAC, which was hunting down suspected communists in Hollywood. While many others in the industry were eager to conform, Bogart stood firm, refusing to name names and condemning the witch hunt as a violation of free speech. But this bold stance came with consequences. His career suffered, and for a while, his reputation took a hit. Hollywood's powerhouses were not pleased with his rebellion. Bogart was blacklisted, his roles became fewer, and for a period, it seemed his star might fade. Yet, Bogart never backed down. He stood by his principles, fighting for the rights of his colleagues and the integrity of the industry. His courage in the face of immense pressure ultimately earned him the respect of his peers and solidified his legacy as one of Hollywood's true rebels. Despite the price he paid, Bogart proved that the true spirit of an artist could never be silenced. 10. Ava Gardner. The rebel who lived life on her own terms. Ava Gardner was the epitome of beauty and glamour, a silver screen goddess who captured the hearts of millions. But behind her stunning looks and dazzling performances, Ava was one of Hollywood's fiercest rebels. In the 1940s, Ava was thrust into the spotlight by MGM, cast as the quintessential bombshell, and forced into roles that played up her physical beauty rather than her acting chops. But Ava wasn't content to be just another pretty face. She was a free spirit, an independent woman who wanted more than to be a mere symbol of glamour. When she married singer Frank Sinatra in the 1950s, Ava's personal life became the subject of intense media scrutiny. The couple's stormy relationship was constantly in the public eye, but Ava refused to bow to Hollywood's expectations. She lived her life on her own terms, traveling the world, dating who she pleased, and defying the Hollywood machine. Her rebellion reached a boiling point when she rejected roles that were offered simply because of her looks. She sought complex, daring characters and eventually won critical acclaim for her performances in films like Mogambo, 1953, and The Night of the Iguana, 1964. However, her refusal to conform to Hollywood's ideal of the perfect woman came at a cost. Her career, once on an upward trajectory, began to stall, and Ava was often cast aside as difficult or unruly. Ava paid the price for her defiance, her career faltered, and the pressures of her personal life took a toll. Yet, she never compromised her independence, standing as a symbol of defiance to the industry's rigid rules. Ava Gardner was not just a star, she was a woman who refused to be defined by anyone but herself. And that's a wrap on today's video, the stars who challenged Hollywood and paid the price. If you enjoyed learning about these legendary rebels who changed the game, don't forget to hit that like button and share your thoughts in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed to Globewise Entertainment yet, what are you waiting for? Subscribe now and join the community for more fascinating stories from the world of film, entertainment, and beyond. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.